Hi guys, my name is Christina Schönfeld. I work for OpenDataSoft as a business developer where I'm in charge of developing the German-speaking market. And first of all, thanks all for waiting. There was a little bit of a Mac PC PowerPoint issue. Well, you can't help that. So, a few months ago, I attended an open data conference in Germany. And I noticed something odd. The attendees at this conference, a very small circle, were talking as if they had just discovered a new type of species. They called the species the developer. And they had the assumption that the developer would go to governmental, boring sites, look ages for files, download those files, and then build beautiful applications for the benefit of all. Well, this is the topic of open data. And when I'm talking about open data, let's quickly recap what means open data. So when we talk about open data, we are referring to structured, machine-readable data that has nothing to do with any personal data at all. And this type of data could be geodata, it could be weather data. And the assumption is that the government and big companies, like utilities companies and transportation companies, have a big treasure of data, and they need to publish them. So what's the point of publishing data sets? So people would argue that, first of all, it's about transparency. Because the second the government will publish data, the government becomes more transparent, and hence we can avoid corruption, the government might become more efficient, etc. But there is another big reason for publishing data sets. And that is the economic potential. And whenever someone talks about economic potential, we also quickly look at what does McKinsey say about their economic potential. And they estimate that annually, open data could account for as much as 3 trillion in additional global potential, economic value. This is globally. But what do we think about Germany? What's the potential there? So Konrad Adenauer Stiftung published another study a couple of months ago where they analyzed different scenarios. And their realistic scenario says that open data in Germany could account for as much as 43.1 billion additional economic value per annum. And it could also create up to 20,000 additional jobs. So while we're talking about this potential and we're listening to those big numbers, maybe there is something there, and we should analyze it further. So let's take a look at what is the status quo in Germany. Today in Germany, we have around 40 open data portals, and around 30 of them are being operated by cities and municipalities. And this is kind of great until you realize that this only sums up to 40% of all cities that have more than 100,000 inhabitants. So there aren't that many open data portals. But what is even worse is the quality of those portals. Because what is open data not? It is not open information. So while publishing bills and long texts, it's all valuable and it increases transparency, it is not open data. This is not open data either. Even though it's, despite containing some figures, publishing PDFs is not open data because it's not machine readable. And even that cannot be considered open data because we see different types of units, we see indented columns. It is not machine readable and therefore not open data. And lastly, my favorite example, we have a lot of geoportals in Germany that are considered open data, but in fact they're not. These geoportals publish WMS files without the accompanying data points. This is as good as taking a picture of your grandfather's atlas and then uploading it to someone. No one can build anything on top of that. It's not considered open data. So, let's do an assumption and say you're a developer in a mid-sized German town and you have this amazing idea of building a transportation application. So this might be your workflow. You're looking for timetables. You're not even thinking about real-time data because this would be a dream to find real-time data. But instead, yeah, okay. I'm noticing the Mac and PowerPoint issue here. So you might be looking for a file and look on lots of governmental sites to eventually find a file that is called Public Transportation Network something, I don't know what, because we have very long titles in Germany and we love that. Then you might have to guess the content because you can't look into the file immediately. So you might actually have to register somewhere and outline the reason of why you would like to download this file. But you can also be completely in luck and find a CSV file ready to go. Wow. Then you download the file, you open it as an Excel, and then you find really, really strange column titles and you're confused by them, and you realize, damn it, I have to go back to the original page just to download another PDF that explains me what is in those column titles. And then you realize it doesn't make any sense at all, and you start screaming, very much, because this is the process that you have to do at the moment before you even start cleaning the data and building an application. It's way too complicated. So it ends up in frustration on both sides, because as a developer, you're already annoyed, and you don't want to build anything. I mean, you're doing that voluntarily, right? And then on the other hand, the communities that have published the data sets, they're also confused because they wonder, why is no one building anything? Where is the innovative potential that we're talking about when we're talking about open data? And what is even worse, open data becomes a very abstract topic that only few selected people understand. So it's also difficult to justify the funding within those communities. So, what do we need to do to unlock the innovative potential in Germany? What do we need to do to unlock open data and to finally build all those amazing applications for smart cities, etc.? First, we need to rethink the process within the governments themselves. And there are many aspects that are extremely important and that relate to legal aspects or licenses, etc. But there's also one aspect that only relates to the workflow process itself. So today, when we're lucky, we find only 1 or 2 people in every agency concerned with open data. And those people are very enthusiastic and put a lot of work into asking their colleagues, give me some Excel sheets, whatever what is there that we can publish and make open for everyone. However, these people are not the creator of the data sets, and hence they are not the ones who can ensure the quality of a data set. And this is crucial because we have to first make sure that we have high quality data sets with which we can work with. And this is essentially what we believe uploading data sets should look like. It should be as easy as drag and drop a file there, and it should be there and automatically visualize, and we have APIs and etc. This is the ideal scenario. Very far from that in Germany. Because what we've seen in France, where we are already very big, is that when you involve every employee within a governmental agency and make it really easy for them to publish data sets, they all of a sudden start using the data internally as well. So they can conduct their own analysis and they can start building applications as well. And the whole government becomes more efficient and also more innovative and more open to really share their data sets with the broader public. And this, for example, is CAPSARC. It's a research facility in Saudi Arabia that wants to make the energy sector more transparent. So they published a lot of data sets about the energy sector globally, but most of those data sets they're using internally to facilitate their research processes. Second, we have to ensure that not only developers are being addressed. Because a developer, when we talk about developers, it's a very small circle. And those developers have to have a very precise idea of what they want to build in order to innovate. However, whenever we talk about innovation, the biggest breakthroughs are being made by accident. So this is Sir Alexander Fleming, who is known to have accidentally discovered penicillin because he was a very messy person. And I'm not saying that you should be a messy person in order to build something with data, not at all. But we need to make sure that data can be used by anyone, because we believe that data is only truly open when anyone can use it, even our parents or grandfathers. And this is why we believe that visualizations are not just something nice to have. And actually, this is one of the examples that I discovered on my very first day when I joined OpenDataSoft. And I didn't know our software at all. And I played around with a public open data portal. And I found a data set that was called fatal incidents. And I was like, gosh, that sounds horrible. I want to know, where are people dying? This is horrible in Durham. So I put it onto a map. And my second thought was, great, I don't know anything about the average road traffic, because probably it's just really, a lot of traffic. And I looked for a second data set, and indeed, I found it, and I put it there as a heat map. And of course, when you're a data scientist, you know that you have to do a much more, and this is hardcore sales I'm doing right now. But within a minute, I had a story already to tell, and I could see that there were areas where we had a lot of accidents despite little traffic. And I didn't know at this time our software at all. It was intuitive. And we believe that only through those visualizations, when you can test your own assumptions and ideas, you will generate new ideas, that will lead to new business models, and that will, eventually lead to applications and great new businesses. And third and last, we are still making it really, really hard work for developers, because as I outlined the workflow process before, no one wants to go through that voluntarily. So we have to make it easier. We have to make it as easy as possible to reuse data. And how can we achieve that? How can we get something like data to go? And this is where dataset APIs come into. And we need to have every data set turned into a dataset API. Not just catalog APIs, but really the dataset APIs. We need APIs that can handle millions of data points and that can be uploaded within seconds, and that are the basis for any type of real-time applications. So, what happens if we implement all this? What is the impact? This is another one of my favorite examples. So in the city of Rennes, the public transportation network decided to publish all their bus locations in real time on their data portal. This is the data set. This is one of the applications. You can go there right now, Où est mon bus, that has been built on top of it. When you go there, you see the little buses moving around, a little bit like at Uber. And for a long time, I thought, this is probably the only application they did. And then I rechecked the reuses of this data set, and I found 9 such transportation applications in the city. In a city that has 200,000 inhabitants. No one can tell me that there is not an innovative potential in every single community if we just make it really easy for the people to reuse data. And one of the most famous open data apps is CityMapper. Many of you might already use it. It's also available in Berlin. That has been built with open data. Then there are other applications like this site where you can find easy accessible locations for an app, or completely different ideas that no one would ever think of. Probably this is an application that helps you to find a place to go when you have to go. Then there is another beautiful example, because pictures can become open data as well. Those are colored pictures taken over 100 years ago, and the Musée d'Albarcan decided to make them as available as public data, together with each location where those pictures have been taken in the world. So you can access them and scroll through it. It's very, very beautiful. Over 30,000 pictures made available. And then there is an example that some of you might have already heard of. There was an open data developer in New York City who got a parking ticket, and he rechecked the pattern of the New York City parking tickets and found out that the NYPD falsely issued millions worth of parking tickets. He found out so through use of open data. And then we're also seeing projects that are more advanced, like that help to build smart cities. For example, in Paris, they decided to make some of the biggest traffic intersections more pedestrian-friendly. And instead of just investing millions of euros, they decided, no, we first analyze this place. And they asked Cisco and Placemeter and all the big providers of sensors to install these type of sensors, like noise level sensors, air quality, also some cameras to count the number of people and cars going through this place. And all these providers have their own platforms where they collect data. However, you need some sort of meta platform to collect the different APIs coming from those different providers. And Paris decided not only to use our software, this open data portal, themselves to do their own analysis internally, but to make the data in real time publicly available for everyone, for all citizens. So that, for example, now when you stand at this Place de la Nation at a bus stop in Paris, you have dashboards there, and you can see the air quality, and you can see that your bus is still 8 minutes far away, and you think, oh, there is also a rental bike around the corner. Why don't I just take this one? And you make smarter decisions through the help of open data. So we've already seen this picture in the last presentation. But just to conclude, I hope that this talk brought the topic of open data a little bit closer to everyone, because I truly believe if we want to unlock the innovative potential, we first have to make sure that the next time someone attends an open data conference in Germany, we have to make sure that anyone can contribute to the discussion. Thank you.